There are moments when nothing around you is moving, yet something inside you is. You might be sitting in a quiet room early before dawn, the world still wrapped in sleep. The light is low, the air is calm, your phone is silent, and yet inside your chest there is a strange awareness, like a pulse that does not belong to thought, not to memory, not even to emotion. Just a presence, a subtle stirring that makes you pause and ask without words, what is this? Sometimes it comes when you are tired of being strong. Sometimes it comes when you feel empty for no clear reason. And sometimes it comes in the middle of an ordinary day, while driving, washing your hands, standing in a line, or staring out a window as the sky slowly changes color. Nothing dramatic happens. No miracle. No loud sign. Just a quiet sense that something is alive inside you. Most people try to name it quickly. They call it stress. They call it anxiety. They call it motivation, adrenaline, or mood. But deep down, you know that name does not fit, because this feeling does not behave like your other feelings. It does not rush. It does not scream. It does not demand. It simply exists, calm, steady, ancient, as if it was there before your thoughts learned how to speak. Have you ever noticed that? Have you ever felt something within you that felt older than your fears, deeper than your worries, and quieter than your mind? And if you have, what if it is not random? Think about how strange your own body already is. Your heart beats without asking you. Your lungs breathe even when you forget to. Your blood moves through you in perfect rhythm, while your mind is busy with noise. You did not design this system. You do not control it, and yet it carries you faithfully day and night. So ask yourself gently, if your own life is moving without your command, then who is truly moving it? We are taught to believe that life is something we own. My life, my energy, my strength, my will. But what if life is not something you possess, but something that passes through you? What if that quiet pulse you sometimes feel is not yours in the way you think it is? Sometimes when you are overwhelmed, you feel weak and small. You tell yourself, I am tired, I am broken, I am not enough. But then even in that weakness, your heart still beats. Your breath still returns. Your eyes still open to another morning. So where is that strength coming from? When you are sad, your sadness does not stop your lungs. When you are angry, your blood does not pause. When you are lost, life does not abandon you. Isn't that strange? It is as if something more faithful than you is keeping you alive. Many people move through life without ever asking this question. They wake up, rush, work, scroll, sleep, and repeat. But sometimes something interrupts the routine. A loss, a silence, a sickness, a moment of stillness. And suddenly you feel it again, that quiet energy in your chest asking you to notice. Not shouting, not forcing, just inviting. What if this feeling is not a mood, but a message? What if it is not trying to excite you, but to awaken you? You may have noticed that this feeling often comes when your ego is tired, when you can no longer pretend to be in full control, when your plans fail, when your heart is soft, when your defenses are low, when you finally stop pretending that you are strong on your own. Why does it come then? Why not when you are proud, loud, and busy proving yourself? Maybe because pride is noisy, and truth is quiet. Maybe because the heart hears better when the ego is tired. Long ago, Ibn Arabi spoke about life not as something we own, but as something that is given, renewed, and carried. He taught that existence itself is not independent, it is sustained, moment by moment, breath by breath, not by our effort, but by divine mercy. He did not say you are powerful because you exist. He said you exist because power is flowing through you. There is a big difference. One makes you proud. The other makes you humble. One says, I am strong. The other whispers, I am being held. So if you have ever felt that strange, quiet energy inside you, Do not rush to explain it away. Do not mock it. Do not ignore it. Sit with it for a moment. Ask yourself, why does it come when I am still? Why does it come when I am empty? Why does it feel older than my stories about myself? And what if it is not coming from you at all? What if it is reminding you that you are not alone inside your own life? What if it is not trying to make you special, but to make you aware? Aware that your life is not self-made. Aware that your breath is not self-owned. Aware that your strength is not self-created. And if that is true, then this feeling is not random. It is not useless. It is not meaningless. It is an invitation. Nothing is random. Every sign is an invitation. And the feeling you cannot explain may be the first knock on the door of your heart, asking you to turn, to look inward, and to remember something you have always known but quietly forgotten. When you say, "This is my life," it feels natural. You woke up in this body. You think with this mind. You move with these hands. So it makes sense to believe that life belongs to you. But Ibn Arabi gently challenges that idea, not with argument, not with force, but with a deeper question. If life truly belonged to you, could you keep it for even 1 second without being given it again? Look at how your breath works. You can hold it for a while. You can control it for a moment. But sooner or later, your body takes over. It breathes whether you agree or not. So who is really in charge? The same is true of your heart. You cannot command it to stop and start at will. You cannot tell it, beat faster now, or slow down exactly this much. It follows a rhythm that was written long before you were aware of yourself. Ibn Arabi said that existence is not something you own. It is something you are constantly receiving. Not once, not at birth, but every moment. Life is being given to you again and again, so quickly that you mistake the gift for something permanent. But what is given can also be taken. And what must be renewed was never yours to begin with. This does not make you small. It makes you held. There is a big difference between being powerful and being carried. The ordinary mind says, "I live." The awakened heart whispers, "I am being kept alive." This is not weakness. It is truth. And truth, when accepted, brings peace. Ibn Arabi taught that nothing in creation stands on its own. Everything exists because Allah is sustaining it. Not just once in the beginning, but continuously, like light that must keep shining for the room to stay bright. If the light stops, the brightness disappears. If the giving stops, existence fades. So what you call your energy, your life, your strength, is not self-made. It is a trust, a flowing gift, a mercy that never pauses. That is why even when you forget Allah, Allah does not forget you. Even when you turn away, your breath still returns. Even when you are ungrateful, your heart still beats. Is that not mercy? If life truly belonged to you, it would obey your moods. It would leave when you feel tired of living. It would pause when you feel hopeless. But it doesn't. It continues quietly, faithfully, patiently, like a servant that never complains. So ask yourself, if something is carrying you so gently without asking for praise, what does that tell you about the one who sent it? Ibn Arabi did not speak about God as distant. He spoke about God as the one who is nearer than your own awareness, because without him, you would not even be aware. Not as a part of you, not as you, but as the source through which you are allowed to be. There is a difference between saying, "God is inside me," and saying, "I exist through God." One feeds pride, the other dissolves it. One says, "I am special." The other says, "I am dependent." And dependence, when understood correctly, is not humiliation. It is safety. A child who knows he is carried does not panic when he falls asleep. A heart that knows it is sustained does not panic when life becomes uncertain. Most of our fear comes from believing we are alone in running our lives. We think, I must control everything. I must secure everything. I must fix everything. But if life itself is not in your hands, then why are you trying to hold the whole world with them? Ibn Arabi would say, you were never meant to carry existence. You were meant to witness it, receive it, and respond to it with gratitude. That is why the heart becomes heavy when it tries to play the role of God. And the heart becomes light when it remembers it is a servant. Not a servant of people, not a servant of fear, but a servant of the one who gives life itself. So when you feel that quiet energy inside you, do not say, this is my power. Say instead, this is the mercy that keeps me alive. When you feel strong, do not become proud. When you feel weak, do not despair. Because both strength and weakness are signs of the same truth. You are not self-made. Sometimes Allah reminds you through ease. Sometimes through difficulty. But always through life itself. That strange awareness in your chest, the one you cannot fully explain, may not be a feeling at all. It may be a reminder that you are being sustained. A reminder that you are not abandoned. A reminder that you are not forgotten. A reminder that even when you feel empty, something faithful is still moving through you. Nothing is random. Every sign is an invitation. And this invitation is asking you to release one heavy idea, that you are alone in carrying your life. Because the moment you stop saying, I live by myself, and begin whispering, I am being kept alive, something inside you softens. Fear loosens. Pride quiets. And gratitude begins to breathe where anxiety once lived. And once the heart tastes that, it becomes ready for the next truth. That this life you are receiving is not only mercy, it is also a message. If life is being given to you moment by moment, then why do you sometimes feel so far from it? Why do you pray and feel empty? Why do you ask and feel unheard? Why do you believe, yet feel disconnected? Ibn Arabi answered this with a simple image. The heart is a mirror. A mirror does not create light. It only reflects it. If the mirror is clean, the light is clear. If the mirror is dusty, the light looks distant, even if the sun is shining directly on it. So when you say, I don't feel close to Allah, the question is not, where is Allah? The real question is, what has settled on my heart? Because the light has never stopped shining. Think about how dusk gathers. Not in storms, but in silence. Not in chaos, but in slow neglect. No one wakes up one day and chooses to have a heavy heart. It happens quietly, through small things that repeat. A grudge you never released. A comparison you kept feeding. A pride you protected. A wound you hid but never healed. A habit that filled time but emptied meaning. None of these look dangerous at first. They feel normal, human, understandable. But dust is like that. One grain means nothing. 1,000 grains make the mirror blind. So you stand in the light of mercy and say, why do I feel nothing? Not because mercy left, but because your heart cannot see itself anymore. Have you noticed how numbness often comes after noise? Too much scrolling, too much proving, too much defending yourself, too much needing to be right. The ego is loud, and the heart hears in silence. When the ego fills every space, the heart has nowhere to speak. So sometimes Allah does not take things away to punish you. He takes them away to quiet you. Sometimes He does not give you what you want, not because He is distant, but because He wants you empty enough to listen. Have you ever noticed that deep moments often come after loss, failure, or disappointment? Why not after success? Because success makes the ego proud. and pride covers the mirror faster than any sin. Ibn Arabi said that remembrance polishes the heart. But remembrance is not only words. It is a way of seeing. When you forgive instead of feeding anger, you polish the mirror. When you admit you were wrong, you polish the mirror. When you stop trying to impress, you polish the mirror. When you accept what you cannot change, you polish the mirror. At first, you may feel nothing. Just like rubbing a dusty mirror doesn't show results immediately. But slowly something shifts. The heart becomes lighter. The chest feels open. The breath feels deeper. And suddenly, the same life you had yesterday feels different. Not because life changed, but because you can finally see it. That is why some people feel close to Allah in prison, and some feel far from Him in luxury. It is not about where you stand. It is about what your heart can reflect. So when you feel weak, do not assume you are abandoned. Weakness is often the beginning of cleaning. When pride breaks, dust falls. When illusions crack, light enters. But this process is uncomfortable. The ego hates losing its place. It prefers noise over truth, control over trust. That is why you may resist the very moments meant to heal you. You distract yourself. You blame others. You harden. But every time you choose silence over noise, truth over pride, humility over defense, you wipe a little more dust away. And the light becomes clearer. That quiet energy you sometimes feel is not trying to make you powerful. It is trying to make you transparent. So the mercy that sustains you can finally be seen. Nothing is random. Every sign is an invitation. And sometimes the sign is not a blessing. It is the dust being shown to you. So you finally begin to clean the mirror of your heart. Not every reminder arrives as a miracle. Most arrive as moments you almost ignore. A woman once said, "I didn't feel close to Allah for years. I prayed. But it felt like talking into empty space." Her life looked normal from the outside. She worked, she smiled, she kept going. But inside she felt hollow. One evening after a long day, she sat alone in her room with the lights off. Not to pray, not to cry, just to be still. And in that stillness, she noticed her own breathing for the first time in a long time. Slow, steady, loyal. Even when she was tired of herself, it had never left her. She didn't feel anything dramatic. No vision, no voice. Just a quiet thought. Something is keeping me alive, even when I forget to be grateful. That night, her prayer didn't become longer, it became softer. And that softness stayed with her. She said later, "I didn't find God that night. I stopped running from Him." The reminder didn't come as joy. It came as awareness. Another man lost his job after years of building his identity around it. At first, he was angry not at the world but at himself. "Who am I if I'm not this?" he kept asking. Days turned into weeks. His confidence collapsed. His plans broke apart. He said it felt like standing in a dark room where nothing made sense anymore. But in that darkness, something strange happened. He stopped pretending. He stopped performing. He stopped trying to impress. He started praying without rehearsing his words. He started admitting fear. He started asking not for success, but for peace. Months later, when life slowly rebuilt itself, he realized something painful and beautiful. The job had not made him strong. Letting go had. The loss didn't remove his worth. It removed his illusion of control. He said, "I lost my title, but I found my place." The reminder did not come as gain. It came as release. There was also a young man who lived with anger like a second heartbeat. Family arguments, old wounds, unspoken blame, it all lived inside him. He believed his anger was protection, that without it people would hurt him more. But one day, during a simple argument that could have turned into another war, he chose to stay silent. Not because he was weak, but because he was tired of carrying fire. That silence was uncomfortable. It felt like losing. But later that night he realized something. His chest felt lighter. The anger had not saved him. Letting go had. He didn't become perfect. He didn't become calm overnight. But something shifted. He learned that strength does not always look like resistance. Sometimes it looks like peace. The reminder did not come as victory. It came as surrender. In each of these lives, nothing supernatural happened. No doors in the sky opened. No voices called from the clouds. Just small moments, quiet shifts, inner turns. And yet each person walked away changed, not because the world became better, but because their heart became more honest. That is how divine reminders often work. They don't shout. They don't perform. They arrive as awareness, as a soft realization that you are not alone in your life. And once that awareness begins, you stop asking, "Why is this happening to me?" and start asking, "What is this teaching me?" The reminder does not always remove pain, but it gives pain a direction. It turns loss into language, silence into meaning, weakness into opening. And slowly, you begin to see the pattern. Allah does not always change your world first. He changes how your heart looks at the world. That is the real miracle. And if these quiet reminders are real, then they must be carrying something deeper. A wisdom that belongs not to chance, but to the one who sees every heart before it even speaks. In the next truth, you will see how these moments reflect something sacred. Not through magic, but through the names of the one who guides with mercy, subtlety, and perfect wisdom. If those quiet moments are not random, then they must belong to someone. Not to chance, not to coincidence, but to the one who sees before you see and knows before you understand. Ibn Arabi taught that Allah is not known only through books and words, but through His names as they appear in life itself. Every moment carries a signature. Every event whispers a name, but most people move too fast to hear it. That strange energy you feel at certain moments is not a force you own. It is a reminder of the one who sustains you. And when you look closely, you begin to recognize His names moving through your life, quietly, gently, faithfully. One of those names is RR letter 1E25MA Macron N, the All-Merciful. Mercy is not only forgiveness after sin. It is breath after breath. It is life continuing, even when gratitude is weak. When you wake up after a heavy night, when your heart is tired, when your mind is confused, and still your lungs fill again, this is mercy. Not because you earned it, but because mercy gives without asking. Have you ever noticed that even on your worst days, your body still serves you? Even when you forget Allah, Allah does not forget you. That is RR letter 1E25MA Macron N, moving through your life. Another name is Al-Latif, the subtle, the gentle, the one who guides without noise. This is the name you see in small moments that change big directions. A conversation you almost didn't have. A delay that saved you from harm. A loss that freed you from what was slowly breaking you. Al-Latif does not shout. He redirects. He does not force. He nudges. And often, you only understand His work later, when you look back and realize, if that had gone the way I wanted, I would have been lost. So ask yourself, what in your life once felt like disappointment, but later revealed protection? What once felt like delay, but later showed wisdom? That was not luck. That was subtle mercy. And then there is Al-Hakim, the All-Wise. Wisdom is not about giving you what you ask for. It is about giving you what shapes you. Sometimes wisdom comes as ease. Sometimes as resistance. Sometimes as waiting. If Allah gave you everything you wanted exactly when you wanted it, you would never learn patience, trust, humility, or surrender. You would grow powerful in ego but poor in soul. So Al-Hakim teaches you through timing. He lets some doors close, not to punish you but to turn you. He lets some dreams break, not to hurt you but to reshape you. Have you noticed how the things that changed you the most were not the things you planned? Often they were the things you resisted. That is wisdom. So when you feel that quiet energy in your chest, do not rush to explain it away. Pause and ask, which name is touching my life right now? Is this mercy keeping me alive? Is this subtle guidance redirecting me? Is this wisdom shaping me? Signs are not magic tricks. They are invitations to awareness. Not to superstition, but to presence. When you begin to see life this way, fear slowly loses its grip, because you stop seeing events as enemies. You start seeing them as messages. Not all messages feel good, but all messages are meant to guide. And once you begin to read life through the names of Allah, you no longer panic at every change. You listen, you soften, you trust, and that trust prepares you for the next truth. That when you stop fighting life, you begin to understand your place within it. Ibn Arabi often used images that were simple but endless in meaning. One of them is the image of a drop and the ocean. A drop of water can look at itself and say, "I am small." It can fear evaporation. It can fear falling. It can fear disappearing. But the drop exists only because the ocean exists. Its water is not different in essence, only in form. The drop is not the ocean. But without the ocean, the drop is nothing. This is how Ibn Arabi described the human condition. You are not Allah, you are not divine by yourself, but you exist only because divine life is flowing through you. You are not independent, you are sustained. The ego hates this idea, because the ego wants to be the source. It wants to say, my strength, my success, my failure, my control. But the heart, when it becomes honest, begins to whisper something else. I am being carried. I am being held. I am not alone in my existence. This is the beginning of what the Sufis called fana, not disappearance of the body, not mystical vanishing, but the fatting of false ownership, the death of the idea that you are the center of your life. Fana is when the ego slowly loses its throne. You stop saying, why me? And begin saying, what is being shown to me? You stop fighting every wave and begin learning how to float. This does not make you passive. It makes you peaceful, because you no longer waste your energy pretending to be in control of what you were never meant to control. Have you noticed how tired people are who must always prove themselves? Always defend. Always win. Always be seen. That tiredness is the ego begging to rest. Fana is rest. It is when you finally say, I don't have to carry everything. It is when you let life be guided instead of being dominated. But Ibn Arabi did not stop there. He spoke of returning. After the ego softens, after false ownership fades, you do not disappear from the world. You return to it, but differently. You still work. You still love. You still struggle. You still feel. But you no longer live as the owner of your life. You live as the receiver of it. This is what makes a person gentle. Not weak. Gentle. A person who knows he is being carried does not need to push others down. A person who knows life is a gift does not waste it on pride. Think of a time you were deeply hurt. You had two choices: to harden or to soften. Hardening feels strong, but it breaks you slowly. Softening feels dangerous, but it heals you deeply. This is what unity without ego looks like in real life. It is not claiming greatness. It is releasing ownership. It is saying, "My life is not mine to rule. It is mine to receive." When you begin to live like this, strange things happen. You argue less, not because you are afraid, but because you are free. You forgive more, not because you forget, but because you refuse to carry poison. You accept delays, not because you like them, but because you trust what you cannot yet see. And slowly, life stops feeling like a battlefield. It begins to feel like a path. Not always easy, not always bright, but always meaningful. This is what the drop feels when it stops fighting the ocean. It does not disappear. It becomes calm. And in that calm, it finally understands. It was never meant to rule the waves. It was meant to move with them. When you stop trying to be the source, you finally connect to the source. When you stop saying, "I own," you begin saying, "I am entrusted." And that is when fear loosens its grip. Because you no longer believe you are alone in carrying your existence. You are being carried. And that truth is not meant to make you proud. It is meant to make you gentle. Understanding something does not change you. Living it does. You can agree with every word about mercy, surrender, and being carried, and still wake up tomorrow anxious, defensive, and heavy. Because truth does not enter the heart through thinking. It enters through practice. But not dramatic practice. Not extreme rituals. Not performances meant to impress. The heart is polished through ordinary choices. It begins in silence. Not the silence of sound, but the silence of resistance. The moment you stop arguing with reality. The moment you stop saying, "This shouldn't be happening," and begin saying, "Let me see what this is teaching." Even one quiet minute a day can change your inner world. Sit. Breathe. Do not fix. Do not plan. Do not impress Allah with words. Just notice you are breathing without effort. You are alive without command. That alone is remembrance. Then comes a simple kind of dhikr, not rushed, not loud, not for show. A word that your heart understands. A phrase that makes you softer, not louder. Say it slowly. Let it pass through you, not over you. If your mind wanders, let it wander back. Remembrance is not forcing attention. It is inviting it. And then comes the hardest part, surrender inside real life. Not in prayer alone, but in traffic, in arguments, in disappointment, in delay. When someone hurts you, notice the fire that rises. You do not have to kill it, but you do not have to feed it either. Pause. Breathe. Ask, what will protect my heart right now? Sometimes protection is speaking. Sometimes it is silence. Surrender is not losing your dignity. It is choosing your peace. Then there is letting go of control. Notice how often you say, "It must happen this way. It must be now. They must understand me." Every must is a rope around your own heart. Try loosening one. Not all. Just one. Let one thing unfold without your grip. Watch how uncomfortable it feels. Then watch how life continues anyway. That discomfort is the ego learning to rest. And then there is forgiveness, not always of others, but of yourself. How many times do you punish yourself for being human? For failing? For doubting? For falling again? Allah does not ask you to be flawless. He asks you to return. So return. Again. And again. Every return wipes a little dust away. And slowly something changes. Not outside first, inside. You breathe deeper. You react slower. You listen more. You fight less. You begin to feel that quiet energy more often, not as excitement, but as peace. And that is how you know the mirror is clearing. You do not become perfect. You become present. You do not become powerful. You become gentle. You do not become above others. You become closer to them. And that closeness prepares your heart for the final truth. That all of this was never about becoming something new. It was about remembering what you already are. And when the heart is ready, it does not need loud proof anymore. It only needs to look. Because life itself has been speaking to you all along. You are not powerful because you exist. You exist because you are being given life, again and again without pause. The quiet energy you sometimes feel is not meant to make you proud. It is meant to make you aware. Aware that you are not alone inside your own life. So here is the real question. Have you ever felt a moment where your heart suddenly softened, as if you were being called back without words? If you have, share it in the comments. Your story may be the reminder someone else is waiting for, and tell us where you're watching from. If this message spoke to you, make sure to like this video, subscribe to Voice of Sufism, and turn on the bell icon so you don't miss future reflections. More videos connected to this message are appearing on your screen now. Let them continue the journey with you. Nothing is random. Every sign is an invitation.